a nation underwater, from Tuscany to Lombardy. In the spring of 2025, Italy once again found itself under siege from the forces of nature. Over the course of just 1 month, multiple regions were struck by devastating floods triggered by record-breaking rainfall. From Tuscany to Piedmont, rivers overflowed, roads collapsed, and entire neighborhoods were submerged. As the country struggled to respond, it also faced deeper questions. Is Italy prepared for the new climate reality? First wave, Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna, March 14th to 17th. The first heavy rainfall struck on March 14th, 2025, affecting central Italy. In Tuscany, as much as 70 millimeters of rain fell in just 6 hours, equaling the region's average for the entire month. Tuscany, Florence, Prato, Sesto Fiorentino. In Florence, the Arno River rose quickly, flooding embankments and parts of the historic city center. In Sesto Fiorentino, the Remaggio stream overflowed, turning city streets into rivers. Schools, museums, and theaters closed for safety. Train services between Florence and Pisa were suspended for 12 hours due to track flooding. Emilia-Romagna, Bologna, Ravenna, Forlì. Further north in Emilia-Romagna, rivers breached their banks. In Bologna, a red alert was declared. Residents on ground floors were evacuated. In Ravenna and Forlì, small landslides blocked access roads. Underground infrastructure was damaged in Bologna, causing power outages in several neighborhoods. Second wave, Piedmont and Lombardy, April 17th to 19th. Less than a month later, another wave of storms hit northern Italy, causing even more destruction. Piedmont, Valdagno, Turin, Monte-da-Po. In Valdagno, 2 people were killed when their car was swallowed by a collapsed road. In Monte-da-Po, a 92-year-old man drowned in his flooded home. Landslides and infrastructure collapses were reported throughout the Turin area, Lombardy, and the Po River. The Po River rose by nearly 5 meters in 24 hours. Embankments in Cremona and Mantua were closed as a precaution. Emergency services began preparing for potential evacuations in rural areas. Aftermath, damage, death, and displacement, human cost. According to Italy's Civil Protection Department, at least 5 people lost their lives. More than 250 people were injured. Hundreds of families were evacuated and relocated to temporary shelters set up in schools and gyms. Infrastructure collapsed. Dozens of bridges and hundreds of kilometers of roads were damaged. 22 hospitals were temporarily closed due to flooding. Over 47,000 homes were left without electricity. More than 320 farms were destroyed, particularly in the Po Valley. Government Response National Action Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni cut short a diplomatic trip to Brussels to visit flood-affected areas. An emergency commission was convened, and a €480 million recovery fund was approved. A state of emergency was declared across 6 regions: Tuscany, Emilia-Romagna, Liguria, Piedmont, Lombardy, and Umbria. Local mayors in Florence, Bologna, and Turin deployed civil defense and volunteer brigades. In high-risk zones, traffic was restricted to emergency vehicles. Curfews were introduced in some cities to prevent looting in flood-damaged neighborhoods. Causes: why it happened. Meteorological factors. Italy's Meteorological Institute reported that spring 2025 was among the wettest on record in 70 years. Temperatures were 2.3 degrees Celsius above average, and humidity levels reached 88% throughout March and April. Climate-linked scientists have directly linked these floods to climate change. Warmer air holds more moisture, leading to heavier rainstorms. The European Environment Agency ranks Italy among the top 3 EU countries most at risk from floods.
Questi sono I tetti. Questo è quello che rimane dei tetti. Quella è la macchina di Michele.
Early warning system, effective or incomplete. Shake Alert Italy. Italy recently launched a national flood alert system using smartphone notifications. In this event, Shake Alert Italy provided warnings up to 30 minutes in advance. However, in rural areas, many users didn't receive alerts due to poor signal or outdated devices. Several victims said they had no warning before the water reached their homes. Civil protection agencies acknowledged partial failures in communication.
Callavolle sta già su.
Economic impact, farming and finance. Agricultural losses exceeded €750 million, with vineyards, olive groves, and wheat fields underwater. Wine producers in Tuscany and farmers in the Po Valley lost entire harvests. Supply chains were disrupted, especially for wine, olive oil, and dairy. Overall, the total economic damage is expected to surpass €1.8 billion once infrastructure, healthcare, and housing losses are included. public reaction and protests. As the floodwaters receded, anger surged. In Bologna, Florence, and Turin, residents held protests demanding investment in dams and drainage systems. In some cities, residents blocked highways in frustration over slow insurance payouts. A controversial proposal to make flood insurance mandatory for homeowners and businesses sparked public backlash. What Italy must do next. The 2025 floods were not just another disaster, they were a wake-up call. Italy now faces a clear choice: either invest in long-term climate adaptation or suffer the consequences of repeating history. Key priorities must include modernizing flood control systems, strengthening forecasting, and educating the public on disaster response. Scientists warn that the big one, a flood exceeding all historical records, is no longer a matter of if, but when. Conclusion. The spring floods of 2025 did more than destroy roads and homes. They drowned a sense of safety. The Italian public, already weary from climate disasters, demands action. Whether that comes through smart policy, bold investment, or pressure from the people. One thing is clear: Italy must act now, because the next flood may not wait.